Ocho Joe, Kevin Stefanski says Shedeur Sanders is not getting any first team reps like Dylan Gabriel, like Dylan Gabriel did when Joe Flacco was the starter. Stefanski said it's because Gabriel being young, you want to make sure he's getting a lot of reps. It's different when you have a vet like Joe.
Some number one reps. Is that true with Shedeur?
No. I mean, with a young quarterback with Dylan starting, you want to make sure he gets a lot of the reps. Different when you have a veteran like Joe, I would tell you, Tony.
The Cleveland Browns announced on Sunday that rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders would be inactive for their Week 8 game against the New England Patriots due to a back injury. Sanders, who has been quarterback 2 for the past 2 contests, was added to the Browns' official injury report Saturday and listed as questionable, and he was then ruled out on Sunday with practice squad quarterback Bailey Zappe being elevated to the number 2 spot. Sanders seemed ready to hit the field on Sunday and went through a 15-minute pregame regimen of jogging and a passing workout under quarterbacks coach Bill Musgrave. But the Browns officially ruled him out, prompting some suspicion from fans on social media who hit the comment section to voice their skepticism. Why is Sanders inactive? He doesn't get reps during practices and has not played a single regular season snap. I'm so done with the Browns, one asked. Sanders just warmed up fine. Why is he inactive still? Another wondered. We all know number 12 being injured is Cap. Another fan quipped. Shedeur inactive until the deadline when he gets traded for the cost of the plane ticket to get his expletive out of here. Another user scoffed. Sanders indeed is the topic of plenty of trade rumors. However, former NFL scout Daniel Kelly doesn't see it happening. I keep seeing suggestions of a Shedeur Sanders trade, he said on X on Friday. As a former NFL scout, I can't see any team trading for him. Why would they? Every team in the league passed on him in the first 4 rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft. And what's he done since then? Sanders is making his thoughts known about his situation on social media. The greatest lesson I've learned through it all is not to worry, but to lean on and trust God in every situation, Sanders said on X on Tuesday. The greatest lesson I've learned through it all is not to worry, but to lean on and trust God in every situation, Sanders said. Even when I don't know what to do, I've learned that God will always guide me. I live stress-free because I know that no matter what, God has the final say over my life. I'm able to persevere through trials because I come from a family built on morals, values, and unshakable principles. Growing up, I had access to a lot, and maybe without my understanding shaped my worldview, but I've realized that peace, purpose, and faith can't be bought. They have to be built. True success is who you become while waiting on God's timing. God's pace protects what your purpose will one day require. This is the story blowing up the NFL right now, and it's not about a game-winning touchdown or a record-breaking performance. It's about a name that was all over the news this past weekend, a name that's generating more heat off the field than on it. Shedeur Sanders. Just hours before the Cleveland Browns were set to take on the New England Patriots, the rookie quarterback, who has been the team's backup for the last 2 games, was suddenly ruled inactive. The reason? A back injury. But here's the hook, the thing that has social media in a frenzy and Browns fans tearing their hair out. Nobody's buying it. They saw him warming up pre-game, jogging, throwing passes, looking completely fine, only to be yanked at the last minute for a back injury that seemed to appear out of nowhere. We're going to dive deep into this sudden injury, the trade rumors that it instantly ignited, and why fans are convinced this is all just a front for something much bigger happening behind the scenes in Cleveland. We'll look at the social media firestorm, the sharp skepticism from former NFL minds, and Sanders' own cryptic posts that seem to pour gasoline on the entire situation. Is this a legitimate injury, an insurance policy, a sign of a looming trade, or is Shedeur Sanders truly being punished for a rookie with too much confidence? Stick around because the answers here go way beyond a simple injury report. This is the Cleveland quarterback conundrum turning into an outright conspiracy theory. The announcement came down late Sunday morning, just before the Browns kicked off in New England. Shedeur Sanders, the 5th-round draft pick out of Colorado, the one who carries the weight of his Hall of Fame father's legacy and a whole heap of media attention, was officially inactive. Backup duties would fall to Bailey Zappe, who was elevated from the practice squad. Now, for any other QB3, this would be a non-story, a simple roster move. But this is Shedeur Sanders, and in Cleveland, every quarterback decision is a crisis, a source of intense speculation, and the fact that this injury, back tightness, was only added to the report late Saturday after he had reportedly practiced fully all week, that's where the skepticism starts. You have to understand the context. Sanders hasn't played a single regular season snap. He's been the number 2 guy behind rookie Dillon Gabriel for the past 2 games since veteran Joe Flacco was traded. So when he's listed as questionable, then inactive for an injury that prevents him from being an emergency backup, the internet detectives went into overdrive. The biggest piece of evidence for the fans: pre-game warm-ups. Numerous reports and fan videos captured Sanders going through a full 15-minute passing routine. He was seen jogging, twisting, throwing deep balls, looking loose and powerful. If a player is experiencing genuine back tightness, severe enough to warrant missing an emergency backup role, they are usually not doing a full, rigorous pre-game workout. It just doesn't compute. And the fans, they were immediate, they were loud, and they were relentless. One fan perfectly captured the general sentiment, asking, "Why is Sanders inactive? He doesn't get reps during practices and has not played a single regular season snap. I'm so done with the Browns." The logic there is simple. If he's not getting hit in practice and hasn't been hit in a game, where does a sudden game day disabling back injury come from? Another comment was more direct. "Sanders just warmed up fine. Why is he inactive still?" And then you have the purely conspiratorial yet highly popular takes. We all know number 12 being injured is caps. It's internet shorthand for "this is a lie." The word cap has never felt more appropriate in an NFL story. The fans have seen too many questionable moves, too many bizarre quarterback decisions in Cleveland over the years to simply take a one-sentence injury report at face value. They are connecting dots, and the dots in their minds spell TRADE. This is the big hook, the other side of the story that the injury instantly brought to the surface. Trade rumors. The NFL trade deadline is November 4th, just over a week away. Sanders has been the subject of constant trade speculation since the moment the Browns drafted him. He was a high-profile name who fell to the 5th round, and his confidence, some would call it arrogance, has kept him in the headlines. His own words earlier in the season, saying he's capable of playing better than some of the quarterbacks currently starting in the league, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way and fueled the idea that he might not be a team-first guy the Browns want developing behind their starter. So, when the news broke that he was suddenly injured and inactive, the trade machine went into overdrive. The theory is that the Browns are keeping him off the field, protecting him, so his trade value doesn't drop due to a potential injury, or perhaps more damaging, a poor performance in an unexpected spot. One user laid out the trade theory with pure sarcasm: Shedeur inactive until the deadline when he gets traded for the cost of the plane ticket to get his expletive out of here. That's the level of cynicism we're dealing with. The belief is the injury is just a pretext to keep him in a bubble until a deal can be finalized. But let's look at the counterpoint, the reality check from people who actually know the business. Former NFL scout Daniel Kelly threw cold water all over the trade talk on X, and his reasoning is extremely sound. He said, "I keep seeing suggestions of a Shedeur Sanders trade. As a former NFL scout, I can't see any team trading for him. Why would they? Every team in the league passed on him in the first 4 rounds of the 2025 NFL draft. And what's he done since then?" That's the truth of the situation. Sanders' draft stock was already a major question mark. The Browns picked him late. He has no NFL film, 0 regular season snaps. Trading for him would essentially be trading for his college tape and his potential, with the added baggage of the intense media circus that follows him because of his last name. A team would have to be incredibly desperate or incredibly convinced to give up significant draft capital for an unproven 5th-round rookie who's already generating controversy simply by not playing. It makes the trade argument difficult to sustain, especially for a high pick. The cost of a plane ticket, as one fan put it, might actually be closer to the truth than a blockbuster deal. Yet, this is where the drama truly unfolds, because Shedeur Sanders is not staying silent. He's been using social media as his own personal communication platform, and his posts, while seemingly spiritual and high-minded, are being interpreted as direct responses to his situation, almost like a coded message to the Browns organization and the rest of the league. His recent post on X, just a few days before the injury controversy, is a masterclass in strategic ambiguity. He wrote, "The greatest lesson I've learned through it all is not to worry worry, but to lean on and trust God in every situation. The greatest lesson I've learned through it all is not to worry, but to lean on and trust God in every situation. Even when I don't know what to do, I've learned that God will always guide me. I live stress-free because I know that no matter what, God has the final say over my life. This isn't just a generic inspirational quote. This is a player who is facing adversity, not playing, trade rumors swirling, watching another rookie drafted after him, Dillon Gabriel, get the starting nod, and choosing to publicize his faith and his stress-free mentality. The timing is everything. Fans and analysts immediately interpreted this as him talking directly about his football situation, saying, "I'm calm, I'm patient, I know my value, and I trust that my time will come even if the Browns are messing with me." He didn't stop there. He went on to talk about his upbringing, his foundation, and what he believes constitutes true success. "I'm able to persevere through trials because I come from a family built on morals, values, and unshakable principles. Growing up, I had access to a lot, and maybe without my understanding shaped my worldview, but I've realized that peace, purpose, and faith can't be bought. They have to be built. True success is who you become while waiting on God's timing. God's pace protects what your purpose will one day require." Think about the loaded nature of these statements in the context of a disgruntled professional athlete. He's talking about persevering through trials, waiting on God's timing, and knowing that peace, purpose, and faith can't be bought. This is a player who is already the highest paid 5th-round pick in NFL history, and the son of a cultural icon. He has all the access and money in the world, but he's framing his current football situation as a trial that requires perseverance and spiritual patience. It sends a message, whether intentional or not, that he believes he is being held back or facing an unnecessary challenge. The subtext is unavoidable. He believes he should be playing, and this whole situation is a test of his faith and patience. This is the deeper, more complex hook, the narrative of the Cleveland quarterback room. It's not just Shedeur Sanders versus the injury report. It's Shedeur Sanders versus Dillon Gabriel, the other rookie quarterback the Browns drafted 2 rounds earlier, who is currently the starter. It's Shedeur Sanders versus the front office that passed over him 3 times before finally taking him. And it's Shedeur Sanders versus the media and the fans who are constantly trying to decide if his confidence is justified or if he's just another loud rookie who will flame out. The injury is just the latest flashpoint in this ongoing drama. If the Browns want to develop Sanders slowly, quietly, out of the spotlight, his own actions and the fans' hypersensitivity are making that impossible. Every move is scrutinized, every social media post is decoded, and the entire situation is made worse by the fact that the Browns, despite their defensive prowess, are struggling on offense, which naturally leads to fans clamoring for the next option, the unseen option, which right now is Sanders. So where does the truth lie? Is the back tightness legitimate? Of course it could be. Back tightness is a very real, very common, and very frustrating ailment for athletes, and sometimes it hits suddenly. He could have slept on it wrong, tweaked it slightly in the final minutes of Friday's practice, or simply been dealing with a nagging issue that finally flared up enough to raise a red flag. The team's medical staff would be obligated to report it and protect the player, especially a young asset. In the pre-game warm-up, it's entirely possible to go through a light passing session before the stiffness settles in, or perhaps he was testing it out to see if he could go, and the team doctors pulled the plug after seeing enough, or simply deciding the risk of him having to play was too high. That's the logical, straightforward, non-conspiratorial explanation. But in the NFL, and especially in Cleveland, logic is often the first casualty. The more compelling story, the one that sells clicks and fills comment sections, is the conspiracy. The injury is a lie. The injury is a trade ploy. The injury is the team punishing him for his outspoken nature, or simply managing a controversial rookie who might be rocking the boat in the locker room. The fact that the Browns elevated Bailey Zapp, an established practice squad veteran, is also interesting. If Sanders was only dealing with minor tightness, why not keep him active as the emergency quarterback, which is allowed under league rules if he's on the 53-man roster, even if he's the third option? By ruling him inactive and elevating Zappe, they are essentially taking him completely out of the equation for the day. That move, more than the pre-game jog, speaks to a decision to completely sideline him, adding another layer of suspicion. Think about the long game here. The Browns are 2-5, struggling to find consistency with Dillon Gabriel. If they continue to lose, the pressure to play Sanders, the electric college star with the magnetic personality, will only grow. If the team genuinely believes Sanders is their quarterback of the future, they want his first snaps to be in a controlled environment, not a desperate scramble. A sudden back injury right before a tough road game against the Patriots gives them a perfect, non-controversial reason to press the pause button, to keep him in a developmental stasis, and to deflect the "why aren't you playing Shedeur" questions for another week. This entire episode is a microcosm of the modern NFL, the blending of sports, social media, and narrative. A simple back injury becomes a national headline, a cryptic social media post is decoded as a manifesto, and a roster move is viewed as a conspiracy. It's a reality show masquerading as a football team, and Shedeur Sanders, whether he likes it or not, is the star of the current season. We're going to keep a very close eye on the Browns' trade activity leading up to the November 4th deadline, and we'll certainly be monitoring Sanders' actual practice participation this coming week. If he's suddenly back to full speed on Wednesday, the fan skepticism will feel justified. If he's held out for an extended period, the initial reporting might be validated. But until then, the mystery of the phantom back injury, the trade whispers, and the faith-based social media messages will continue to fuel the fire. This whole thing has the makings of a complete organizational mess. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a brilliant, albeit heavy-handed attempt by the Browns to control the narrative around a volatile asset. Either way, it's box office drama, and the one thing we know for sure is that in Cleveland, the quarterback carousel never truly stops spinning, even when the player in question is supposedly resting his back.